Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Big Read with Sandra, where we explore powerful books shaping the conversation in politics, society, and culture. I'm your host, Sandra, and today we're diving into one of the hottest political books of the year, Trump's Triumph, America's Greatest Comeback by former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Joining me today is political analyst, author, and returning guest to the podcast, Brian Miller. Welcome back, Brian.
Thanks, Sandra. I'm really looking forward to this one. Gingrich didn't just write a book. He wrote a political autopsy, a rallying cry, and in many ways, a roadmap for where conservative politics is heading.
Exactly. This is a book that's already stirring discussion, debate, and even outrage in some corners. It's hit the New York Times and USA Today bestseller list, and it's sparking conversations across the country, whether you agree with it or not.
Brian, let's start here. Who do you think Gingrich wrote this book for? Is it for Trump supporters only?
That's a great starting point. At first glance, yes, it's clearly written for the MAGA base, but once you get deeper into it, you realize he's also speaking to conservatives who might have been on the fence about Trump. And even beyond that, he's talking to political insiders, warning them that politics as usual is over. Whether you're a Democrat or a traditional Republican, Gingrich is saying you need to understand this movement or you're going to be left behind.
So, in a way, it's a call to arms for the base and a wake-up call for the establishment?
Exactly. And it's also a defense, a justification of everything Trump has done and everything he stands for. Gingrich is trying to redefine Trump not as a controversial figure, but as a historic one.
The title alone is bold. America's Greatest Comeback. Gingrich isn't holding back. What makes this comeback so significant in his eyes?
He paints the 2024 election as not just a political victory, but a cultural and institutional victory. Think about it. Trump was impeached twice, attacked constantly in the press, tied up in legal battles, written off by elites. And yet, he won both the popular vote and the Electoral College. That's historic. Gingrich says Trump is the first president since Grover Cleveland to return to office after losing it. That's a massive comeback, and one that seemed almost impossible just a few years ago.
Let's talk about the obstacles Trump faced, because Gingrich really emphasizes the opposition Trump endured. He talks about assassination attempts, false accusations, and constant media pressure. Do you think that portrayal is accurate?
From Gingrich's perspective, it's more than accurate. It's central to the mythos of Trump. He's portraying Trump as a survivor, a fighter. That narrative of resilience resonates with a lot of Americans who feel they're also under siege, economically, socially, or ideologically. Whether all those obstacles were as dramatic as Gingrich paints them is open for debate, but they're real enough in the minds of Trump supporters.
Something Gingrich repeats throughout the book is that Trump didn't create the MAGA movement. He intuited it. Can you unpack that?
Yes, that's a really fascinating concept. Gingrich argues that Trump didn't invent the dissatisfaction people were feeling. He just gave it a voice. He recognized that millions of Americans felt left out, talked down to, or forgotten entirely by the system. MAGA wasn't about one man. It was about a cultural shift. And Trump, in Gingrich's words, understood it before anyone else did.
Is this similar to how Reagan tapped into a mood in the 80s?
Very much so. Reagan caught the wave of Cold War patriotism and economic frustration. Trump, on the other hand, tapped into cultural alienation, the sense that America was being reshaped by forces ordinary people couldn't control. Globalism, tech, academia, media. MAGA became shorthand for wanting to return to something simpler, not necessarily the past, but a sense of stability, security, and pride.
One of the biggest themes in the book is the total distrust of elites. Gingrich attacks the media, universities, and even government institutions. Why is that such a cornerstone of this book?
Because the elites versus outsider narrative is what defines populism. Gingrich claims, and Trump agrees, that these elites no longer speak for or care about ordinary Americans. And he gives examples. The media telling people the border is secure when it's clearly not. Academics preaching ideologies that most Americans find confusing or even offensive. And bureaucrats acting with arrogance and impunity. Gingrich says the 2024 election was a referendum on that elite system.
But is that critique entirely fair? Are there not some generalizations here?
Absolutely. There's a lot of black and white thinking in the book. It's written with the intensity of a campaign rally. But the underlying point that people feel unheard is very real.
Let's shift to the Biden-Harris and later Harris-Walz administration critiques. Gingrich blames them for high inflation, immigration issues, and what he calls elite ideology. Are those fair criticisms?
Inflation was a real concern. Immigration remains divisive, and the shift in cultural messaging on everything from gender to race to education did alienate many voters. Gingrich argues that the Democrats overplayed their hand, assuming they had a permanent cultural majority. Trump's victory, in his view, was a rejection of all that.
So, was it about Trump's strength or the other side's weakness?
A bit of both. Trump's charisma, media savvy, and outsider appeal are undeniable. But Greenwich is also saying the Democrats underestimated the depth of public frustration. That miscalculation helped Trump win.
Now, the big question, what's next? Gingrich doesn't just write about 2024. He talks about the future of the movement. What does he see coming?
Gingrich sees Trump as the beginning of a political realignment, not the end. He thinks more candidates will follow in Trump's style, brash, bold, anti-establishment. The Republican Party, as we knew it in the 2000s, is gone. This is a new party, and MAGA is its core.
Is that sustainable? Can it last beyond Trump?
That's the million-dollar question. Gingrich believes it can, but only if the movement finds new leaders who share Trump's instincts, but perhaps have a more unifying tone. He also warns that if elites don't reform, the backlash will only grow.
Bryant, thank you for this deep and honest conversation. Trump's Triumph is a book that challenges, provokes, and whether you like it or not, captures the mood of a significant part of America.
Thanks for having me, Sandra. And I'll just say, no matter your politics, this book is essential to understanding where the country is heading.
Agreed. To our listeners, what did you think of Trump's Triumph? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like this one. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and stay curious.